Over the weekend, I was looking at my mutual fund account to see how things went in May. And it is very, very ugly. One of the worst months, other than October of 2018 and December of 2018, one of the worst months ever for my mutual fund account. And part of it was this precipitous market decline that happened at the end of May because of Donald Trump escalating the world trade war again, this time by announcing new tariffs on Mexico, which are quite frankly absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why today. The markets are realizing effectively that Donald Trump really is this dumb. Donald Trump really is this ignorant about basic economics and trade. And it is really getting ugly out there in the economic sense. Donald Trump, as you might know, and we've talked about, started a trade war with China, and we've gotten nothing substantive out of it. And it has been a disaster for American companies and American taxpayers. American companies and taxpayers, not China, have paid billions in extra dollars as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs on China. $5 trillion has disappeared in value from the stock market. There is no credible off-ramp from these tariffs anytime soon, meaning a way for Trump to get us out of them and to sort of de-escalate and go back to where we were before. And in the meantime, China continues to simply make other arrangements. China's making deals with Russia on energy. China's doing more trade with other countries. And what does Donald Trump decide to do? He decides to start another trade war, this time with Mexico. Trump announcing, obviously on Twitter, where else is he going to do it, that there will be a 5% tariff on Mexican goods until illegal immigrants stop coming to the U.S., and that 5% could escalate significantly. Donald Trump tweeting, quote, "On June 10th, the United States will impose a 5% tariff on all goods coming into our country from Mexico until such time as illegal migrants coming through Mexico and into our country stop. The tariff will gradually increase until the illegal immigration problem is remedied, at which time the tariffs will be removed. Details from the White House to follow." What Donald Trump is saying is that Americans will be paying 5% more for Mexican goods. And Trump later followed this up by saying that the 5% becomes 10%, quote, if the crisis persists. And then there would be an additional 5 percentage points each month for 3 months, getting all the way up to potentially, according to the president, a 25% tariff on Mexican goods coming to the United States. This is true, real idiocy. You know, sometimes I search hard for the right words to use to describe economic policy or socio-cultural policy or political decisions. This is just idiocy. And it's actually getting so stupid that even many Republicans are saying this is a bad idea. The horribly depraved, disgusting Republican ideologue, Chuck Grassley, even has the sense to say that these Mexico tariffs are a misuse of presidential authority. But there's something truly mind-blowing and just dumb about this. The point here is that Donald Trump wants to hurt Mexico with this policy, right? Donald Trump doesn't like what he sees as Mexican, I guess, indifference when it comes to undocumented immigration from Mexico to the United States. So he wants to hurt Mexico. Now, let's put aside for a second that there's a net outflow of immigration to Mexico, even accounting for undocumented, that most of the people that are coming in over the border, many of the people are actually coming from countries further south than Mexico. So really, we should be dealing with the economic situations in those countries if you actually want to reduce the demand of those citizens to go through Mexico and try to get into the United States. Put all of that stuff aside. Trump wants to hurt Mexico with this policy. If Trump succeeds in hurting Mexico with these new tariffs, that will make the Mexican economic situation worse, which will create a demand for more Mexicans to try to come to the United States legally and illegally, which is what Donald Trump is trying to stop. These tariffs are completely counterproductive. We've gone from Mexico is definitely going to pay for the wall to Mexico is not paying for the wall, and now there isn't even a wall, to we are going to put tariffs on avocados and cars and all of this stuff that comes from Mexico. We're going to make that more expensive for Americans, while potentially increasing the motivation that Mexicans will have to come to the United States illegally. I thought we were told that businessman, president, genius Trump was going to bring us economic prosperity. We were told that this is some kind of complex 4D chess that Donald Trump is executing on trade, which many of his followers during the campaign, who, by the way, know nothing about trade, people who know nothing about trade, fell hook, line, and sinker for the idea that Donald Trump knew how to fix it. It's not happening. This is triggering the possibility of a recession, and that probability keeps growing. A second Trump term could be utterly devastating to the economy if this type of completely uninformed tariff policy continues. And the most important and stunning thing about this is that both Donald Trump and his followers, and some people who aren't his followers, to be quite fair and full, don't understand that when you tariff China or Mexico, they don't pay for it. The importing companies and people in the United States are the ones that pay for it. Now, I don't want to ignore the sort of economic theory behind the tariff. The idea is that even though, strictly speaking, the tariff is paid by the importing countries, companies, and individuals, if we bring avocados from Mexico to the U.S. and they have a 5% tariff, it's the U.S. importer that pays the 5%, which they pass along to the consumer. So avocados end up costing 5% more. The economic theory behind it is, let's imagine that American avocados are 3% more expensive than Mexican avocados. If you put a 5% tariff on the Mexican avocado, the idea would be you will boost local business because you now have the option of either Mexican avocados with a 5% tariff on top, or American avocados, which are only 3% more expensive. These are imaginary numbers. So you would shift consumption from the Mexican avocado to the American avocado. The problem is that we are starting to tariff items that are not you can't easily shift production in the way that would be required for it to work in that way. When we're talking about aluminum and steel from China, which are building materials that are, you don't just switch your supplier overnight. Companies don't have that flexibility. They're not nimble in that way. When there is a certain demand for avocados that's based on the fact that we are getting them from Mexico, you can't just put a 5% tariff on avocados and all of a sudden it's all American avocados that everybody's buying. The supply is not there. It takes a while to grow these things. Cars, it takes a while. If you're buying cars that are built in Mexico and a tariff gets placed on them, you can't immediately shift production in order to account for that in a way that will work the way Trump maybe believes it would work. So we're going to dig into that more after the break. But once again, markets are realizing Trump doesn't know what the hell is going on with these tariffs. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. Today's sponsor is Skillshare, and I'm excited to tell you that everybody in our audience is getting 2 entire months of free access to Skillshare when you click the link underneath this video. Skillshare is the site that offers over 25,000 online courses on almost any topic you can imagine: cooking, meditation, photography, video editing, Photoshop, managing a small business, almost an endless list. And whether you're trying to get ahead in your career, maybe you want to learn new skills that will make you better at your job, you might just be exploring a new hobby and you're trying to find new ways to be creative in your personal time, Skillshare's the perfect place to fully immerse yourself in whatever you're trying to learn. I really enjoyed the class on more advanced video editing techniques because it's something I've been wanting to improve at, but have been very busy hosting the David Pakman Show for the last few years. Once again, the David Pakman Show is giving you 2 whole months of access to every single class offered by Skillshare. After those 2 months, if you want to keep your subscription, Skillshare is super affordable at less than $10 a month. Get better at whatever it is that you're passionate about, or discover something brand new that you didn't even know that you would love, and join Skillshare's other 7 million users by clicking the link underneath this video.